Good morning. So, am I a faker? you know, what am I doing here? Am I a professional homesteader? Nope, not even close. Am I a professional farmer? Nope, not even close. I know enough to get by. I know enough to do what I want to do. So, how does that relate to you? Why should you be, listening and watching me for me to help you live a better life for your life when, hey, most of the time I don't even know what I'm doing, right? So let's talk about it. Welcome to Goose Pond Hideout with Rob. So, am I a faker and a fraud? It's just that, you know, the thing that I'm trying to share with you is how to live in the moment, how to enjoy, like, it's like 7 in the morning, 7:15. I've had about a half a cup of coffee, and I wanted to get out here quick and share my thoughts with you on this topic of being a faker and a fraud homesteader. And I got some projects to do, so I wanted to get this for you quick. And it's really, I've been thinking about it, and my goal is for you to be happy today. I mean, I got up this morning and it's about 50 degrees, and I think it's 52. And the record low for this morning is 50. So, we're in record low territory. I probably should have a flannel shirt on, but I'm from up north, so I'm kind of used to this sort of thing. But, excuse me. So, I wanted to get out here and share with you my thoughts about being a non-expert and sharing what meaning me sharing with you. I'm not an expert homesteader, not even close. I'm not an expert farmer, not even close. I know enough about plumbing and electrical work to get myself in trouble. But, I've worked my whole life, and being in, that situation, and always thinking about, being on my own and doing what I want to do. So maybe I am a professional doing my own thing kind of guy. That's what I like to think anyway. And so that's what I want to be sharing with you. I mean, theoretically, I started working when I was a little kid. I like to say I had my first job at 4 years old. Because I used to go, my mom worked, and my dad passed away when I was quite young. And so I spent a lot of time with my grandpa and my grandma. My grandpa at that time worked in a furniture factory. So when I was little, first, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, I'd get out of school, and the factory where he worked was pretty close to the school. So I'd walk over there and wait by his car. This was back in the 60s, a long time ago. People are a lot different about leaving responsibility with their kids. We're not all woke like today, and helicopter parents. And I would go, and he was starting up a business for himself. So I would go there and I would, water plants and weed flowers and stuff that a little kid can do. And I'd get, 50 cents for the day's work or whatever it was, a quarter, I don't remember. Can't remember that far back, a long time ago. But, I was involved in my grandpa's business, and that continued on. And then when he retired from the furniture factory, he did that business full time, and it really expanded and became a quite successful business. And I worked there all through college age. But, and I liked it. I liked doing that. I liked it because I was pretty much on my own, working for my grandpa. I pretty much could do whatever I wanted to do. But the point is, I'm sharing my thoughts with you on being, well, in my family, what we called it was a jack of all trades. I'm a jack of all trades and an expert at nothing. And like, in my grandpa's business, we built a pole barn, one of those where you put telephone poles in the ground and then frame it with 2x4s and put siding on it. And we had a big garage door in the front, so you could drive the trucks and the tractors and things in there. And on the back side of the store, we had it wasn't a store, it was a shop. And on the back side of the shop, we had those 55-gallon drum wood stove in there. And so like in the wintertime, we worked on the equipment. We were put brakes on the vehicles, or, tune things up, change the oils, mowers and that. We'd tear the engines apart and clean them all up, put new gaskets and clean the carburetors and things and put them all back together. One of the things that we had is just a car radio, a plain car radio sitting up on the shelf, hooked up to a battery with a speaker, just the inside of a speaker, just the little metal frame with the paper there sitting up on the shelf, and no knobs on the radio. You just turned a little post that stuck out. And it was AM back in the day, so we'd listen to, had the radio, listening to music and working in the shop during the winter time. And that's, it's great memories, but I was not an expert at anything. We just did whatever needed to be done, and some things we did 2 or 3 times till we got it right. And that's the kind of, life that I want for you. Is this world we live in today, everybody is so specialized. It's George Jetson pushing the big red button all day, and then you go home and you go, whew, oh man, boy did I work hard today. But you just do one little thing, and then you pay everybody for everything else. You don't do anything on your own. I mean, my grandma used to sit in her rocking chair and darn socks and put patches on our jeans. We took our shoes to the cobbler to get new heels. We recycled and reused everything. We cooked grew our food in the garden, and we still, we buy stuff at the grocery store. We'll probably run an errand this afternoon, and pick up a couple of things. And my wife's got a prescription to pick up, so then we'll go ahead and pick up a couple things that we need that spoil quick. And it's not about being an expert homesteader or an expert farmer or an expert at anything in particular. It's about being a jack of all trades. It's about you having the ability to look at something, use your common sense, use your thinking skills, and if your car needs a brake job, that you watch a couple YouTube videos and you go at it and you figure out and you do it yourself, and maybe you make a mistake, but then you learn and you won't make a mistake next time. You change your own oil, you chop some, see some down trees there, I'll be chopping up for firewood so you can heat your house on your own. It's about doing things yourself. It's about being able and compatible and a faker and a fraud, in the sense that you're just doing stuff on your own because that's what makes you happy. That's, whatever makes you happy is what I want you to be doing. If you love your job, if you love living in an apartment in the big city, and every day you get up and you cough in the smog and the smoke, and you do your best to see through the haze and fight your way down the street through the crowds and risk getting carjacked or mugged or whatever. If you love that, hey, I'm happy for you. Go at it. But if you want to be outside, if you want to be doing your own thing on your own property, have a simple life, have no mortgage, no big bills, you just live in a simple, low, poverty life, but it's a good life because you're chopping your own firewood, you're growing your own vegetables, you're not an expert at any of those things, but you're learning every day, and you make mistakes, and you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and hopefully you don't make too big of a mistake that you get hurt or anything like that. And I got cuts and bruises, you know, where I do something dumb once in a while. And I dropped something the other day and it had a rope on it, and it caught my finger, and I had a big old purple mark here for about 3 days. Lucky it didn't pull the end of my finger off, you know, but that's doing things on your own. So shush, Daisy. And I got my helpers out here with me this morning. Yeah, you good girl, Daisy, huh? You little thing, you. Come here. Huh? There's Daisy girl, yeah, Daisy girl, yeah. Okay, be good. So, all right, where was I? Being creative, doing stuff on your own, and not getting hurt, being prepared, being happy in your life, you driving your bus. And oh, I know what I was going to say before I picked up Daisy, is one of my many favorite sayings. I have so many favorite sayings, it's hard to remember them all now in my old age, is experience is a hard teacher because she gives the exam first and the lesson after. And when you're out homesteading, when you're doing everything on your own, when you're a jack of all trades kind of person, you take a lot of exams and then you learn the right way to do it after you screw up the exam. I'm serious. So, but you know, that's why I try to have a happy tone. You know, I'm not a funny man, but I know the importance of laughter kind of thing. Because there's just so much gloom and doom out there. Live in the moment. Sure, remember your past, enjoy the life that you had and learn from it, but you can't live in the past. And think of the future. Think of, where you want to be in 5 years or 10 years, or, the things that, down the road, I'd really like to do this or I'd like to do that. Sure, have those thoughts in your head, have them in pencil. Don't carve them in stone because they're probably going to change. But sure, make plans for your future, but don't forget to live in the moment, to live in the now. The sun's coming up. I'm enjoying it. My puppy dogs are with me here, helping me make the video for you. And it's just, I feel that it's a good life. It's a non-expert life at anything. What I was an expert in back when I retired in 2005, sure, I was because I lived in that real world, that woke, well, it wasn't woke back in 2005 yet, but the imaginary society world, and I guess I probably was considered an expert at what I did because I was really good at it, and only a few people did what I did. But it's got nothing to do with homestead, nothing to do without living here in the country or anything like that. So, we went and lived on our sailboat and things like that. So be thinking about all that. Be thinking about where you are. Is it making you happy? Should you do something else? You're not going to be an expert at things. You're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to take the exam and have the learning lesson afterward, and hopefully you won't lose a finger or anything along your journey. And I don't know if you can hear the geese found me. They want breakfast. See, I got to get to my chores here on the homestead. Got to go feed the geese. Honk, 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 honk. So, all right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Think about subscribing, watching another one. I appreciate you more than you could ever know. I read all the comments and everything, and because I'm doing this for you here because it's all about your freedom. Which way do I go? Let's do it this way. Freedom! I get myself turned around sometimes.